Hello friends. Have you heard the saying, never cheat anyone? It's something our parents tell us when we are small. But do we really understand the meaning of these simple words? Do we think about them when we see tempting shortcuts? Unfortunately, we don't. We often let opportunities pass by. But there are times when destiny gives us a second chance, just like it did for Regos, a simple woodcutter living in the village of Willow Creek. One day he found himself at a crossroads in his life, facing a decision that would change everything. Regos loved his life. His small cottage nestled in the woods was surrounded by apple trees and berry bushes. His wife, Mary, was the kindest woman he knew. Their son, Dmitri, had just started working with his father, and their daughter Katya was known throughout the village for her beautiful singing. Regos had a contract with the Duke to supply his castle with firewood. Life wasn't hard. There were worries, of course, bad weather, illness, debts, and arguments with his wife. But in general, they were happy. He had his family, a fulfilling job, and a warm fire every evening. So why does fate sometimes push us towards changes? Well, it's because it's not always a bad thing. One day, while working in the forest, Dmitri stumbled upon a clearing where hundreds of wild boars were feasting on fallen apples. "Father, come quickly," he shouted, running home. "There are so many boars, and they're eating up all the apples. The owners will be so angry if they find out." Regos scratched his head. "Let them eat. They haven't harmed anything." Dmitri couldn't believe it. "No, we need those apples to dry and turn them into flour for the winter. And the boars are eating them all." The situation seemed hopeless until Dmitri remembered the ancient legend about St. George, a warrior who could tame wild animals. So he grabbed his shield and sword and went in search of the saint. After a long journey, he finally found him praying in a small church. "St. George, please help me save my father's crops. I cannot use miracles for selfish reasons, but I can teach you how to handle these boars yourself," the saint replied. "Will you listen?" Dmitri nodded obediently and spent the whole day learning to read the language of animals. When he returned home, his father didn't believe his story. "Dmitri, wild boars aren't pets. They can kill a person with a single swipe of their tusks." Dmitri remained calm and walked to the clearing with a loaf of bread in his hands. As the boars approached, he raised the bread above his head and spoke to them in a low voice, explaining that he wanted to make friends. To his surprise, the boars calmed down and allowed him to pet them. Regos was amazed and learned from his son that the boars simply didn't want to leave the apple trees because they hadn't eaten enough. So Dmitri negotiated with them. He promised they could eat as much as they wanted if they helped him gather the apples. The boars agreed, and soon the clearing was full of ripe fruits. Dmitri and his father gathered the apples and dried them together with the boars. Over time, word spread throughout the kingdom about Dmitri's ability to understand animals. Kings and princes invited him to solve similar problems, and soon he became very wealthy. Regos was proud of his son and understood that it was Dmitri's pure heart and willingness to help others that allowed him to succeed. The problem: one day, Dmitri received an invitation to the royal palace. "Father, I have been asked to help the king's horses who refuse to move from their stalls," he said. Rogov was against it. "The king and his ministers can figure it out themselves. Why should you get involved? You work hard enough here." But Dmitri insisted and left. Regos sighed, knowing he wouldn't convince his son to stay behind. Suddenly, one of the village elders approached him. "Regos, we heard that Dmitri has gone to the capital. Our village hasn't had any firewood orders for a long time. Now it's getting colder and we're starting to run out of supplies. Please ask Dmitri to return and take care of everything. Think about your sick wife, Mary. She needs a warm oven." Hearing this, Regos panicked. He had indeed forgotten about the upcoming winter and the need to prepare. He ran after his son. Finally catching up to him, he said, "Dmitri, please come back. The villagers need you." "But father, the king is waiting for me." "Let the king wait. Your mother won't survive the winter without firewood. Come home." Dmitri couldn't refuse his father. On the way back, they met a young deer. "Little one, why are you crying?" Dmitri asked. "I'm lost and afraid I'll freeze before I find my mother." Dmitri tore a piece of fabric from his sleeve and tied it around the deer's neck. "Follow me, I'll find your mother," he said. They walked for hours. The sun began to set and Regos suggested they stop for the night. "There's a cave nearby where we can spend the night with the deer. It's better than freezing in the forest." But Dmitri noticed that his father's eyes were filled with greed. "Father, do you want to leave the deer here to die of hunger?" "No, of course not. But you know perfectly well that we need firewood. If the villagers don't get wood soon, they'll freeze." "Don't you think I know that? Then why do you want to hurt the animal? It's easy enough to bring it to the village, because such a large animal will bring us a lot of money. Imagine how much we could earn selling its fur. Dmitri threw his hands up in the air. Father, you've changed. You used to be such a good person, but now all you can think about is money. We don't need it. We already have everything we need. That's nonsense. You will understand when you're older, Rogozh muttered, hiding his disappointment. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of several armed men. Looking for a deer, one of them asked. Why would we have one? You think I didn't hear you talking earlier? Hand it over and you won't get into trouble. Dmitri stepped forward. We have no one but ourselves to blame for our actions. Let's go. There's nothing to see here anyway. Dmitri and his father returned home empty-handed. The next morning the villagers were shocked to find their wood piles empty. Winter was approaching and they would freeze without wood. Dmitri saw the despair in their eyes and understood that his father was wrong. Money meant nothing if people froze to death in their homes. Honesty and helpfulness. Dmitri immediately went to the forest, but all the trees seemed to mock him with their bare branches. Suddenly he heard the roar of a stream and realized that the beavers had built another dam. Good people, he called out, please help me clear the stream. I promise you will benefit from it. The villagers understood what Dmitri was up to and got to work with their axes and saws. In a few hours, the stream had become wider and deeper. Then Dmitri used his knowledge to direct the flow of water to every garden and vegetable patch. From now on, you will have water for irrigation, and when spring comes, the snow will melt and fill your cellars with water for the entire year. You'll have water for drinking, washing and cooking. The villagers were grateful and promised to help Dmitri whenever he needed it. Dmitri returned home, exhausted but happy. When he told his father about the stream, Rogozh realized he had been wrong. He apologized to his son, then went to the village to ask for forgiveness from the villagers. Dmitri kept his promise and helped the villagers whenever possible. Over time, everyone forgot about his unique ability to communicate with animals, but Dmitri didn't mind. He was happy just knowing that he made his mother smile again and that his father was alive, and this is important. Rogozh finally understood that money is a means, not an end, and true happiness is measured by the smiles of those around you. What would you choose? 1. Becoming rich and losing your loved ones, or 2. Staying poor but staying true to yourself? Leave your answer in the comments. Like and share the video with those who still don't know it. See you later.